So, old friend, fill me in slow. Old friend, start from hello. Old friend, I want the when, where, and how. Old friends do tend to become old habits. Never knew how much I missed you till now.
Hey Dave, it's Carol Burnett calling.
Carol Burnett, how are you, darling?
I'm terrific. How are you?
Fantastic, Carol, and we can't wait to see you at Carol Burnett Laughter and Reflection, a conversation with Carol where the audience asks the questions. 7 o'clock, the Majestic Theater, Sunday, April 15th. Great seats available now at Ticketmaster and the Majestic box office. And you're coming home again. And for folks who don't know, you were born here in San Antonio at Commerce and Zarzamora on the near west side. And back then, the Majestic Theater was one of the greatest movie theaters in town. Now it's one of the greatest theatrical theaters in town. Did you used to go there with your grandmother when you were a kid?
We probably did. Was it a first run?
Yeah.
No. Then we... we might have occasionally, but we usually would go to the less expensive, where we could see a double feature.
Right.
Yeah. But I remember walking like downtown with my grandmother where they would, in fact, I have some photographs where the sidewalk photographer would take a picture and then hand you a ticket, and then you could go and redeem it for a quarter or something like that. But I remember walking by the Buckhorn Saloon.
Right.
And there was a stuffed ape in the window. And he scared me to death. I was about 6, you know. And I thought when we walked by, I thought I was seeing his eyes move and watch me. And I thought he was King Kong.
Ah.
And he's still there.
It is still up there in the Hall of Africa. We've moved the Buckhorn. It's just down the street from the Majestic, about a block away from the theater on Houston. And they want you to come back and get a picture with that ape.
Yeah, and then I remember, because I went back after I was an adult, and he didn't seem tall or large at all.
Now, all you kids at Crockett Elementary, you've got something in common with Carol Burnett. She went to your school when she was a kid.
Crockett Grammar School.
Just down the street from Commerce. And
We lived on Commerce.
And Carol would roller skate up and down the hallways forever and ever, holding onto the walls to balance herself, and it left these deep grooves in the floor.
From what I hear, the marks are still there.
Now, recently when the folks who own the house were rewiring it, they found a trunk.
Yeah.
A treasure trove of some of your grandmother's mementos.
Right, and they gave it to me.
What was in that trunk?
Oh, gosh, newspaper, articles, letters, things like that, you know, that had been lost or buried forever, we thought, you know, and I didn't even know that it was there, but it was so sweet of them.
Kind of like the Buckhorn Museum, your childhood home has been moved to the 2000 block of West Commerce, and it's being converted into a learning center for children.
I'm so excited about the house being moved and, you know, what it's going to be used for. I'm thrilled.
Carol, you would warm up your own audience at the Carol Burnett Show by coming out and answering questions, and no holds barred. None of the questions were made up, and that's what you'll be doing April 15th at the Majestic Theater.
I go without a net. There are no plants or preconceived notions or anything like that. It's all random, you know, just depends on who I call, you know.
Are there ever any questions you wish people would ask that they never do?
No. After 25 years, I think I've heard quite a few, you know. But sometimes what has happened over the years is I'll get the same question, you know, like would you do the Tarzan yell or something like that? And if that's what the person wants me to do, then I have a story I can tell about that.
Now, you have to get a ticket, come to the Majestic to see Carol do the answer to that one.
Well, you have to see me do it. So it's not necessarily one that I can talk about. It's more of an acting thing. Or they'll say, how did you find Vicky? You know, how did that come about? And I have a story about that. And is Tim Conway that funny in real life? I have 2 or 3 stories about him and things like that. But then many times I get questions that don't involve something that I've talked about before.
Now, folks may be asking about your performances with Julie Andrews on CD and DVD. They're coming out next week.
Yes.
Sony Masterworks is reissuing the Julie Andrews Carol Burnett Classics on CD.
On CD? I had no idea.
This Tuesday.
Well, see, you're on CD, and who is it? I've just got a...
Sony Masterworks label.
Sony Masterworks.
It's called Broadway Babies. And you and Julie were so great together.
Yeah.
Oh, what do you want to do now? You want to sing something together?
What do you mean, the two of us singing the same thing?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, is that wise? Won't it seem strange? Won't it be confusing, both of us singing the same song?
Not if we're careful. I mean, we could start off very slowly.
Well, I have the original tapes. I mean, you know, from years ago and stuff, but it would be fun to get this one.
Plus, your CBS television specials, they'll be available May 8th.
Well, you're a font of information.
It's part of my job, Carol. Part of my job. Who makes you laugh? We know Tim Conway makes you laugh, but
gosh,
these days
yes,
on Glee with Jane Lynch, how much fun was that?
Actually, I love all the new comedians. I'm talking about women now. Tina and Amy Poehler and Kristen Wiig is amazing. Jane Lynch, and I call them new because they're fairly new to the public in a way, of the past 10 years perhaps.
Why did I ever leave Ohio?
And I just love them. Steve Martin always makes me laugh. And Billy Crystal. I saw his one-man show twice, once in New York and once here in L.A. And, he was just amazing.
Maybe I'd better stay home.
Have you done an audiobook of your life yet?
No, I did a kind of a half one with my first book, and then I read the entire second book that I published a couple of years ago, and then I just finished writing my third book, which I've turned into my literary agent, and I'm hoping she thinks it's worthy of taking to the publisher again.
What is your third book about?
It's about my daughter, Carrie, who died 10 years ago, and she was quite a force and funny and interesting, and I call it Carrie and Me, a mother-daughter love story. It's about our relationship, the ups and downs and so forth, but what she had written before she died was a half-finished story about a bohemian girl, young girl, who goes on a road trip to Graceland with a mysterious cowboy. So she never lived to finish it, but she decided 11 years ago to take the same trip for research purposes. And so she drove and she went to Graceland, but she wrote me pages of the story. She would do pages of the story and send them to me by email, and then also her take on some of the places where she stopped and people that she met that are kind of wonderful. And so when she was sick and in the hospital the last time, and her story is called Sunrise in Memphis, and she asked me to finish it for her, and I said, honey, they're your characters to write. I don't think I can do that. And she said, it's okay, Mom, And so she died a little over 10 years ago. So this has been sitting with me for about 10 years, what I could do. And then I thought, what I can do is write about her, when we're growing up and so forth, and the problems that we had when she was a teenager and on and on. And then after she got sober, because she had been an addict during her teen years, and then she became an actress, and she guested in a lot of television movies, and also she wrote and she directed. So I decided I would combine her emails to me along with my observations about our relationship, and even go into her battle with her illness, which was cancer. But there are funny emails that she wrote and certain observations about life on the road, and my observations back to her. So, and also she visited the San Antonio house.
Really? What did Carrie share about San Antonio?
She wrote me about that, how she went in and met the housekeeper, and she was so sweet and showed Carrie through the house and everything. And she wrote me, she said, Mom, the skate marks are still in the hall.
Those will be there forever, Carrie.
I hope so.
Are there any other
like that.
Any other places in San Antonio you like to visit? You're going to have a whole long time in Texas. I've been looking at your schedule.
Yeah, well, in San Antonio, we don't have that much time, but I know I'm going to want some Mexican food.
Some good
That's the
enchiladas.
first food I ever remember eating.
Well, Mexican food was your first food growing up.
That's the first thing I remember eating when I was a kid.
We can't wait to meet with you, to converse with you, to share some laughter and maybe some tears with you.
Oh, thank you so much,
On
Dave.
April 15th. One more question. What is the biggest spiritual lesson you've learned over your life well lived, Carol Burnett?
Spiritually?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, in a sense, I kind of copy what Carrie said at one point when she was in the hospital, and the nurse came up to me, and, she said, I talked to Carrie, and she's always so up and happy, and she helps us if we're down, and she said, and I asked her how come she can stay so up, with this disease. And she said to the nurse, every day I wake up, I decide, and that's a key word, I decide to love my life.
And then you take the action.
And then you take the action so that, sometimes you get down and say, wait a minute, today I love my life. And it really is, and I feel that's spiritual.
That's what I share with our Kono listeners. Any moment, you can start the day over again anytime.
Anytime?
Anytime. You can say, okay, God,
oh, right,
point me in the right direction. I need the G-O-D, the good orderly direction.
Very good. I like that.
And something we share with our listeners that I'd like to share with you is that yesterday's history.
Mm-hmm.
Tomorrow's a mystery.
That's right.
But today's the gift. That's why it's
Today
called
is the gift.
The present.
That's why they call it present.
That's why they call it the present.
There's another one, too, I read once. I was taking yoga for a while, which I loved. And my yoga teacher at one point, quoted something as saying, wouldn't it be wonderful if we can all be untouched by triumph and untroubled by failure?
Don't miss Laughter and Reflection with San Antonio's own Carol Burnett. It'll be a conversation with Carol where you, the audience, you get to ask the questions. The Majestic Theater, Sunday, April 15th. Tickets available at the Majestic box office, Ticketmaster.com, all Ticketmaster outlets, or call 1-800-745-3000. Carol, thank you, and God bless you. Thank you, Carol.
Oh, you're welcome, Dave. Hi, this is Carol Burnett. Please come to an evening with me where it's laughter and reflection, where the audience asks the questions. April 15th at the beautiful Majestic Theater. You're hearing San Antonio's greatest hits with Dave Rios at Kono 101.1.
San Antonio's greatest